to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Today we're talking about love, divorce, and what happens after the papers are signed. Actress Jurnee Smollett finalized her divorce 4 years ago, and now her ex-husband is back, requesting half of her SAG pension. This is after he reportedly walked away with nearly $1 million in their original settlement. So now we're asking the real question: when does divorce actually end? Is this a case of greed, or is it just how the system works? And more importantly, how can you protect what you've worked so hard to build, especially if you're a high earner, a high value man, a high value woman, entrepreneur, creative? So we're going to get into it today with our panel. We have Joe, who is a licensed therapist and mental wellness coach. We have Aisha, who is a financial expert, and we have Shalay, who is the CEO of Vital Source Realty. Hello, everybody. We don't do jazz hands anymore, Joe. Oh, I missed the jazz hand, Joe. Before we get started, we're going to get into the video so that everybody is on the same page and knows what we're talking about. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to get your guys' feedback after we watch the video. If we're going to watch a video.
I think we're supposed to do Dear Queens first.
We can't do Dear Queens until we see the video.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, dear. Okay. Thank you for so much. Dear Queens and Kings, my boyfriend makes 6 figures and I'm surviving on $30,000. We don't even live together, but now he wants us to start splitting everything 50-50 whenever we go out or make plans, because he says that's what equal partners do. Meanwhile, he's booking expensive dinners and outings like it's nothing, and I'm silently stressing over my half. I love him, but this setup feels off. Should I keep trying to match his lifestyle, or is he asking too much? Signed, equal love, unequal money. Oh my gosh. Shalay, how would you respond to this?
No romance without finance. No, let me just be honest. He don't love you. That's it. That's all. That's all I got to say. He does not love that woman. Moving on. Next.
Alrighty.
You talking to me?
What would Aisha? I said, what? I guess the question is, what would you do, and what advice would you offer, and what she should do?
Oh, advice.
That is absolutely crazy that a man will actually expect a woman to split. And I just agree. There's no way I will be paying for 50% of my dinner going out with a guy. I wasn't raised that way. You will pay for every single thing I need. Simple. That's just the way I was raised. I'm not doing that.
Can I see the slide again? I'm so confused. What? Boyfriend makes 6 figures. Okay, so he makes 6 figures, and I'm surviving on 30K. Okay. We don't even live together. Whoa. But now he wants us to start splitting everything 50-50 whenever we go out or make plans, because he says that's what equal partners do. Okay, I'm ready. Let's come back. Joe, what advice do you have, sir?
I'm gonna let trip it off. Shalay said he don't. Does that woman love herself? I mean, I don't know.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
It's not even about, equal partnership or none of that stuff. Like you can't do that. Like you can't afford it. So why are you doing that? That's the thing that's what I'm asking him. It's not about your relationship, the romance, none of that stuff, or how much he cares about you. If that's how he wants to live life, that's how he wants to live life. He wants that type of partnership, then that's his prerogative. But why are you doing that if you cannot keep up? That's the question.
Okay. Noma, I don't know if you're here for the reading or not. If you were, would you like to weigh in? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking I'm glad she said boyfriend, because then she's not attached that you can just leave.
There's so much to unpack in here. God dang it. First of all, a man that's making 6 figures that can't step in and not provide, because that's not your wife, right? But in a dating situation, if you are a man, a gentleman, it is traditional that the man takes the woman out. Now, I'm not opposed to a woman taking a man out at all. If this is your husband, this is your man, you want to treat him, you want to, do a little romance or something like that. But if you are in the dating phase and this man is courting you, then you are not yet equal partners because you have not signed it and says y'all is equal. That's that. And then second, I understand dating up. I do. I promise you I do. But if you're only at the 30,000 mark, maybe, date somebody at the 50,000, 75. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's levels to this dating thing. And as the levels go up, the expectations go up too. I'm going to leave it at that. If it were me, what would I do? I'd get a better paying job. That's what I would do. I wouldn't be looking to this person to do it. I would just get a better paying job so I could take better care of myself. But that's me. All right, cool. So are we going to the video now?
Hey man, Jurnee Smollett's ex-husband wants half her retirement. Now, back in 2021, Jurnee Smollett got a divorce from her man, Josiah Bill. And since the divorce, he got $1 million settlement and he gets $7,000 per month, child support.
Damn, my nigga getting paid. That
nigga want more after all that. So now in 2025, he's seeking 50% of her SAG-AFTRA retirement from 2010 to 2019, the years they was married.
So it seems like it was like an amicable settlement, and then now he's coming back like, wait, I can get more.
What I'm thinking is he's bitter about something, and rightfully so. And he like, you know what? Hold on. He might have found out. Hold on. I was supposed to get half because it says here that under California community property laws, marital assets are typically divided equally in divorce, which means this could be valid. Meaning he could have said, okay, I got what I got. Hold on. I need half their retirement too. I was supposed to get that. Let me go back and get what was owed to me.
Let me go back and get what was owed to me. What was owed to me? Noma, you are married. When you hear that, what are your thoughts? Do you owe your husband something? Am I on mute or are you on mute? Okay.
I'm on mute. I was on mute. Sorry. The short answer is no. And it's always interesting when we see these Hollywood or these celebrity cases, because this is not how wealthy people functioned. Wealthy people don't have these kinds of problems, because usually when you come from a family that's organized and that's wealthy, they protect their wealth. They have trust funds. They have prenuptial agreements. They have all kinds of measures to protect their wealth. So when you kind of look at it that way, you really shouldn't be having those kinds of problems. I'm going to add too that us normal people can also function like wealthy people just by getting organized. Before you get married, in most African countries, you have negotiations, and you don't have to be rich. You just have negotiations. Your families get together. They talk about, how they're going to build wealth, how they're going to secure the bride in the event of a divorce, her husband dying, or any other mishaps happening in life. And all of those things are structured and put in place. I have never in my life heard an African man say that an African woman owes him anything after she has married him, has birthed children for him, nurtured his children, nurtured his family, and has committed her life to him. And for whatever reason, they end up apart, and then he feels owed. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, also, what he owes her is already known going into the marriage because they have negotiations. So again, these are just the kind of problems that can be avoided. But the short answer is no. I'm disgusted by such a man. And then the last thing I'm going to say is I get a lot of pushback when I talk about traditional values and things like that. But I want to say that this is what all that equality and women are the same as men and all that kind of talk gets you. So there you go.
Listen, Jurnee Smollett has been in this game for a very long time, dating back to 1992 is when she first hit the scene. She has 15 films to her right, 26 TV shows, not episodes, but shows that she's been on. Here's one right here from Full House. Actor Jurnee Smollett paid her ex $1 million plus alimony when she left, right? And so he's asking for more. She's been acting for over 20 years. Joe, when you hear Jurnee Smollett's ex wants her pension, what's your first reaction as a man? Or just maybe not as a man, but just what's your first reaction?
I don't have a reaction to that. I'm still processing it. I'm really stuck on some of the stuff Noma said. I really have a question. I want to know, do African women leave relationships and turn around and feel like they're owed? So is that a mutual understanding when African couples split?
As I said, it's usually established before they get married. And this, I'm talking about traditional African families. A lot of people have moved away from it and become modern or what have you. But the reason why people pay dowry, which in the southern part of the continent, they call it lohola, is actually to secure the woman. We don't pretend that men and women are the same. We understand that women have to devote themselves more to the family and to children and to homemaking than the man. Not that they don't have the capacity or the capability to be CEOs and such things, but we all know that when people walk into a filthy house, they don't think, wow, what a filthy man. They think, wow, what a filthy woman. Because no matter where you go or what you do, people put the onus on a woman to be the one who keeps the house and the home. So with that understanding, she has to be secured. Dowry is usually taken and given to her family so that, and it's usually in the form of cattle or cash. And that money is an investment and nobody's supposed to touch it. And it's supposed to grow over the years. So that in the event that she leaves her husband or her husband leaves her, even through death, or he becomes ill, or whatever reason, he becomes incapacitated and cannot take care of his family and her, she is still secured. You see? So there's no reason for her to now start chasing him and saying she wants things. But of course, they do acquire things during the marriage. And again, it's understood that if they acquired those things together, then those things should be split evenly. But that's during the marriage, not what he brought before the marriage. So she can't start saying, because you've been an actor or a football player or whatever else for 20 years before me, now I want your football money. No, that's ridiculous. And it's even more ridiculous when a man is the one demanding that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. That really gives me clarity. Get everything taken care of on the front end. But my initial reaction, just to be real quick, to what I heard is, what happened here? I have to know more. I have to know and understand more about what happened inside their relationship that causes him to be this bitter. So that's not a normal. I don't believe you married a man that you knew to be this petty, and you spent relationship with him and had kids with him. I don't know if he just turns out petty just like that. I feel like something happened that we don't know about, but I don't know.
Okay, Aisha, you are in finance, I believe. So should retirement accounts be on the table years after divorce? So you've set up your life, you've moved on, you've paid $1 million, you're paying $7,000 a month. Should this person be able to come back and now tap into your current financial plan, your current financial situations? Like you've moved on. What is it? It's been 4 years. So mentally, emotionally, financially, you've moved on, and now they come back and they're like, "Yo, I want some of that too."
Well, I think my first thought is the same. Is wow, that's crazy. Why would you even do that as a man? It's almost like not just petty, but it just shows what kind of character you are, for a man to want to come back. But when it comes to that, I think even I know the law here in California is a little different, the community property. I think it should just only go based on where you were married. It shouldn't go all the way where she started working. How can it's not even possible? But I think women can protect themselves, especially in this society. There are things you can do, to protect yourself, and it's out there. It's just that you have to look for it. In the beginning, we're all rosy glasses. We're all happy. We don't think about these things. But then when it happens, then now we're looking back, say, oh, I should have. So really just preparation. Just like Norma said, in Africa, is preparation. That's how we were raised. You prepare for all these nuances that you don't think about. That is why arranged marriages work, because they help you see your blind side before somebody like this start doing stuff like this to your family and trying to destroy your family after all your hard work. So yeah, there's preparation and being aware of what you can do financially to protect yourself. And there are things you can do. And I can help. If anybody has a question about that, reach out to me anytime.
Listen, I always say that you should start your relationship off not thinking about the end, but putting plans in place while you're in love so that you can protect and cover the other person. Because if something should happen to go awry, now you're operating you forget how you were when you fell in love, when you said yes, and you're operating out of pain and hurt. So if you do these things in the front and you're operating in love, it makes, things a little bit less complicated. She's like, when we come back, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to go to break, and then I have a question for you when we get back. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back.
Woo! It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com. You can go to flynubianmoney.com for free resources, tools to sign up for the Fly Money Club. You can also check us out here every day at 1 o'clock p.m. or catch us on Spotify. That being said, Chalet,
yes,
you don't make the plans early on in love. We're here, we're at the end. You give somebody $1 million. I loved you. We had kids together. It didn't work out. We're going to go our separate ways. Here's $1 million, plus I'm going to pay you $7,000 a month. Okay. Mm-hmm. Should that be the end of it? Is this financial abuse or legal entitlement? I did my part.
So I agree also with Joe that is there something missing? Like, what did she do to him or what happened in the relationship? Because, talking about this and getting more information, it's been 4 years and now you're trying to go back. Like, was there money that was hidden? Were there things that should have been in the agreement that weren't in the agreement because he didn't know about? So I would have to say that it really depends on the specifics of their situation. And I feel like we don't know all of the information. But if it is for face value and the settlement is done and that's what you agreed to, that's what it should be. I think it's super important. And I'm not surprised that she doesn't have these things in place. But whenever you have, even if you're not an actress, if you have a business and things should be kept separate. You need to have a business prenuptial agreement too, if you're planning on marrying somebody. Like, I'm surprised that she didn't have like things in place so that he could not touch her childhood money. It just doesn't make sense to me. And her being in the position that she is and being the actress that she is and making the money that she has and having that pension, I'm kind of surprised there's not someone who was in her ear like, you need to protect this. But the fact that he's coming back and trying to get things after 4 years, something seems awry with it.
So I think there, and even with that, like the video that we just saw, I think they said from 2019 to a certain date or something about when they were together, right? But I'm also hearing her childhood money. So I don't know which one is right. Is it just from the time that they were together or from the childhood money? But then even with that, I would ask, how do you know which is which? Like, if it's all going into one pool, how do we separate the money that was earned and made from when she was working?
They should be able to track that through SAG. They should be able to track what money was made in
made.
what year.
Yep.
So that should be the easy thing. What I don't understand is why wasn't this, if this is what he wants, why wasn't it a part of the agreement before? Did he not know that he could access that or fight for that? Like, and what happened? Like Joe said, why is he this bitter that he would come back after 4 years and say, oh, now I want more? Because, I mean,
you ain't making no money. Her career is doing good and his is not. This is my assumption. I'm assuming that
put that on
his
there.
career had, look at, allegedly.
Right, allegedly.
Put that
Here's the allegedly banner.
Yeah, allegedly. Because that's usually it's very rare. I'm going to say, not that it doesn't happen, that a man is petty. It's not, you know what I'm saying? As women, we are better at getting our monies, but men, well, in today's society, right? You know what? Let's look at some of those. Gwen, let's look at some of the comments. In today's society, it is a little bit different. Men are going after successful women's money today. Unfortunately, Jurnee Smollett has joined Mary J. Blige, Britney Spears, Wendy Williams, to name a few women who had to come out of pocket to a gold digging ex-husband. That's a club no one wants to be a member of. Yes, men can be gold diggers. It's not terminology used just for women. Nope, you're not a real man. Shaking my damn head. Oh, well, I'm glad the law is finally working on both sides. So can this behavior also be placed on women who take half of everything a man has earned during his life? Or is this only applicable to men? Equality is beautiful. Time to squeeze some coins from some boss babes. I need better English. Jurnee Smollett's ex-husband needs his ass beat. Y'all have been divorced since 2019. She pays you $7,000 a month, but why the F do you need half of her earnings? Get a job. BAN. I'm not gonna say it all. Ninja, please. Hyping Jurnee Smollett's ex-husband really confirms that y'all are new bitches. But that day. So that being said, do high-earning women have to choose between love and legacy? Aisha, what do you think? Does it come down to you got to make a decision? You can either have love or you can have somebody try to take your money.
Wow, how sad would that be for any woman to have to feel that way, that you have to choose whether you love someone or your money? That's very sad. And I hope that is not what will be the case for most women, even though women are successful today, they're doing well and they're earning a lot of money, sometimes more than their spouses or their boyfriends. I just hope that is not going to be the case. And hopefully we have people around us that will help us make good decisions. Because sometimes I think in this society, there's a lot of rugged individualism. He's my man, I'm going to do whatever I want. While in my culture, you can decide to marry somebody on your own. There's going to be uncles and aunties and brothers and cousins telling you, this isn't a good person. They'll tell you. So then you go with your eyes wide open. While over here, people decide what they want to do, and then the damage is done, and everybody's fighting. There's a lot of hating and insulting just because we do things on our own, and that is not helping us. So why would a woman that is supposed to be a precious woman, that is going to be a life giver to a family, be put in that situation to choose between loving someone or worry about her money that she's earning? To me, that's a very sad situation. But I hope that as a community, that woman will find people that she loves and trusts, that care about her deeply, that will sit down with her and look at what is happening around her, all her blind side, and help her. So that money is not the reason why you marry someone or not marry someone. Instead, because you have love for them, you share the same values, and you want to create the next generation to bring a difference in the world, right? I pray that will be the reason why, not because of money, because that comes and goes, right? But the love that you share and the values you share will last forever.
So I'm going to ask this question to you, Noma, because you have a different view around the man, the dowry being paid, the man being the provider, the man being the person that takes care of the family, right? In today's society, we have a lot of women, not more, but a lot of women who make more than the man, and sometimes is the main breadwinner, right? She's not the man, she is the breadwinner, Okay. So even like with Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, I guess he's demanding divorce be overturned because he's claiming that she hid $48 million from him. And the producer thinks that could be kind of what Josiah is also saying, that Jurnee hid his pension, hid her pension. And so do you think that some men either resent successful women long after the marriage ends, and that's why they come back and ask for more money, because they feel like, okay, the relationship didn't go well, you were the breadwinner, you should still pay me? Or do you think that it might be that women are less likely to fight for their money in divorce when it's all said and done, it's over, I just want to pay him and I want him to be gone? You're on mute, my love. You're on mute. I still can't hear you. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. The Wendy Williams situation, I felt like, that's what I'm feeling. I think from what I've heard about the situation was a little bit different. He was actively her manager, producer, and very involved in what she was doing. So he was making that money right along with her. I could be wrong, but that's how I understood it. So with that being said, he was well within his rights if he had an active role in her company. If the marriage dissolves and the company's still going, or they're going to dissolve the company, then he has shares in the company, or do you understand what I mean? It's not the same. It's not the same thing. But going back to these other ones, like I remember Sherry Shepherd, her husband was asking for money, and Halle Berry and Mary J. Blige, all those men are losers. They are losers. I know people try to tiptoe around these issues. Those are losers. Your very pride and dignity as a man. It's been years since you left a woman and you're still whining about her money. Oh my goodness. That is a loser. And, I'm sorry. I can't right at this minute remember my sister next to me, her name, but she also said something about African culture that, it's not even so much just African culture. It's a funny thing because it's global. With most traditional families, your family supports your decisions, but they also monitor your decisions, and they also kind of help you think through these things and look at certain things. When you say that you want to get married, they don't just look at the person that you're looking at getting married to. They look at their family, their background, their habits, and all those kinds of things. So you really have to be going out of your way to make a bad decision in order to make a bad decision. Be that as it may, it can still turn out to be a bad decision. But again, it goes back to who are you marrying and why? And then I think, as Joe said, what is the reason why this person is asking for this money and so forth? I can't think of any good reason why 4 years later you'd still be chasing a woman's money and you call yourself a man. Haven't you moved on? Haven't you made moves? Haven't you made money? Where's your dignity? My goodness, no.
Get some therapy, heal.
Yeah.
If there's trauma, like I just can't think of what it would cause
a
man
money
to go back and be like, I want some of that too.
Yeah, Lene, and you don't get money just because you feel hurt or because you're bitter and petty. That doesn't earn you money. You're just bitter and petty and hurt. Okay, but that doesn't mean you should get more money. No.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to break, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna watch our second video. And then, Shalay, I'll come to you when we get back after our commercial break, and we'll go to that now, and then we'll be back in a hot second.
I know you're busy. You got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money, and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
All right, we're gonna go to the video, but before we do it, I want to address this question, and I'm gonna give it to you, Shalay. Leroy McKenzie Jr. What's up, Leroy? That's my homeboy in the chat. Asked, so you call those men losers, and he's addressing it to Noma, but I'm gonna have you answer the question. So you call these men losers who do this. Does that mean that women that do the same thing are losers as well? I guess what he's asking is, as a woman that goes after a man who is supposed to be the provider and the protector, when she has nurtured the children and been the woman of the home, and she goes to this man and says, hey, you're walking out, you're leaving, or we're separating, and I need you to cover and protect, continue to cover and protect the home, does that make her a loser to ask for provision and protection and for him to do what he's supposed to do now that the relationship is over?
Absolutely not. And here's the thing that when people make comments like this, that they're not taking into account at all. And like you said, the nurturing, the motherhood, the taking care of the home, the nurturing his dreams and following his vision and everything. Women who marry often sacrifice their financial independence and their career goals and things like that to marry and to become a mother and everything. That is not only taxing financially, it's taxing emotionally, it's taxing physically, it's taxing mentally. And so if a woman, we're not equal, right? There are things that a woman is doing that a man cannot do. A man cannot bring children into the world, right? And a woman is doing that and submitting under that man's vision, supposedly in a marriage. So no, that does not make her a loser. That is the best structure for the family under those circumstances. So I don't quite understand why I don't understand why we have these conversations and why it's so hard to understand that. And like was said before, wealthy families and families who plan ahead, they're already planning for this. And I've gotten so much insight just from hearing you ladies talk about African culture and things like that. But these are things that should be planned in the beginning. So when people get mad and they decide to split, or you can do it amicably and it's already in place. I don't understand that comment, and I don't understand why it's so hard to understand what a woman has to sacrifice in order to get married and become a mother and motherhood, and what she's giving up as an equal human in a relationship like that.
All right, we're going to come back. We're not finished with this dialogue yet. Let's go to the second video, and then we're going to come back and dive deeper into this commentary. Let's go.
Jurnee Smollett. Oh, my goodness. Her and her ex-husband, Josiah Bell, they've been divorced for 4 years. He is asking for half of all Jurnee's retirement money. And this is Jurnee's money that she made when she was a kid. I don't know what makes Josiah think he's entitled to the money she made when she was playing with the Olsen twins. This is her full house money. Jurnee wasn't even thinking about that man back then. Back then, she couldn't even spell Josiah. It gets nasty in a divorce. You don't go into marriage thinking you're going to get divorced, but if it happens, it can get so nasty. One of my ex-husbands, he wanted in the marital stuff when we were fighting, he wanted my bed. He wanted my bedroom set, even though I bought it before we got married. And I said, look, Ninja, you weren't the only. I did. I said, hey, Ninja, you weren't the only man in this bed, okay? This is the bed Sherry bought with Sherry's money. And I told him and his lawyer, I said, he wasn't the first one in it, he won't be the last in this bed.
Okay, Joe, I have to ask this from the man's perspective as a man, okay? If you married a woman and she had money before you and you guys got together, maybe you made money together, maybe you didn't. You guys get divorced, you go your separate ways. She pays you out $1 million and she continues to pay you $7,000 a month. Would you go back and then say, I want some of your retirement too?
I don't think so, but I do want to address what we were talking about before the break, if that's okay. Because I listened to Noma with respect to African culture, understanding that the men that she has been exposed to were raised in that culture, and the women that she's been exposed to are raised in that culture as well. So a man who does this is a loser. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Noma, but I'm listening to what you're saying. So
I've lived in the U.S. since I was 19 years old.
But you've been exposed to this culture, right? That's
yes.
Right.
Both
okay.
cultures, yeah.
Right. It's not about where you were raised. I'm more about the culture, right? So men who are raised in this culture don't behave this way, and if they do, they are a loser. And if women, was to do the same thing, she would not be considered a loser. I get and understand that. But in a scenario that Dr. Lene gave, the woman is the breadwinner, correct? Like that's what she saw. Who's to say that this man was not also providing the nurturing and all the other things and the protection? So what we're saying here is why the mental health is declining for Black men, because we're mislabeling their value and saying that the only thing that they can be valuable for is providing. What about the other things that they do in the home? And that's no disrespect to what a woman brings, birthing children and all the other things that Shalay mentioned. But what is a man's value outside of what he brings into the home financially? That's what we have to start understanding. So in these scenarios, who knows? Who knows what was happening? Who knows, if I love you, and going to your question, directly to your question, Lene, if I love you and I believe in you and you are doing well and I'm securing myself, I'm probably not going to want any of your money. You know what I mean? Unless I've become dependent upon it through the nature of our relationship. I've become dependent. I'm bringing my value to the home, providing protection, taking care of the kids or whatever, and your job was to pay the money. So that's what we agreed upon. Now, events, I'm going to give you all a little psychoeducation. Events change people. So if there's an event that occurred, that might change a person's self-belief and also what they believe exteriorly about the person they're with. So now I hate you. Okay? And I'm not saying that's justified, but now I hate you. So money, we all know the love of money is the root of all evil. So if I feel like I can hurt you through your money, I'm going to try to hurt you. Again, not justified, but let's just focus on the fact, like, what happened? What happened to this man that all of a sudden he wants to hurt this woman in this way? Not justified. I'm not ready to call him a loser until I understand everything that happened. He might just be an actual loser. That's very, very possible. But we don't know what happened or what this woman did or what events took place to make a man decide all of a sudden, I'm not proud of you. I don't want to support you. I don't want to believe in you. I want to hurt you. What happened? That's all I'm going to say.
We don't know what he or she did. Did, but you are onto something, because when you talk about, we're not talking about man and woman roles. We are traditionally, the man is the breadwinner. So if we're talking about traditional roles, the man is the breadwinner, the woman is the nurturer. But we are living in a day and age where women are breadwinners and husbands are taking on more of a non-traditional support role. And if I think that goes back to, we have to have some of this stuff worked out early on. If you are going to let me take the lead and be the breadwinner and pursue my career or whatever the case might be, and you're going to take this role, what does that look like and how does this play out down the line? Because when that happens, then it becomes each person is responsible for their role, not necessarily man or woman. You are still the head of the household or the man or whatever, however your household does it. But then if should something go awry, there are some responsibilities for how this other person is taken care of, whether it's the man or the woman. I think it gets to be weird when we start talking about quality of life, right? because man or woman, I don't feel one way or the other, man or woman, when somebody gets divorced and they say, well, I should still be kept in the quality of life that I'm accustomed to. So you should still pay me this much money to live the same life that you live, but that person didn't work for it. They didn't earn it. If you didn't work for it, you didn't earn it, then why is it the person who has worked for it responsibility to keep you accustomed to that lifestyle that you did not work for or earn? And I don't care if that's a man or woman. Go ahead, Shalay.
Yeah. So, and Joe brought up something very important that I had a thought about a couple questions ago. And it all boils down to what the two individuals agree are going to be the roles, right? Because it's not necessarily just because the man that you're going to be making the money and bringing home the bacon. And what does it look like when she's bringing home that bacon? But what did you guys both agree on? Did they agree that she's going to be the breadwinner and she's going to take care of him and then he's going to be at home? Because also a man being at home and taking care of the children is also making it possible for her, is propping her up, is making it possible for her to continue to do her acting gigs and things like that. So perhaps it was something like that. That's what I said earlier.
And we don't know what he sacrificed to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? There might be some sacrifice, a great sacrifice in order to play that background role for her so that she's able to go do those things. So we just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm not disregarding any of that. I just feel like, why wasn't it worked out 4 years ago? Like, let's talk at 4 years. I'm going to give you $1 million. I'm going to give you 7,000. We're going to walk our separate ways. To come back 4 years later and say, but I still want more.
Unless he didn't know, unless it was hidden. And again, we don't know, speculating at this point, but unless he didn't know all of what he could get. But again, this is why it's important to work these things out in the beginning. Am I getting some year pension? Like, what does that look like? What's the percentage? Are you paying the alimony? Are we paying child support? What's the custody going to be like? If we happen to split up, it's important to have those going back to, it's important to having those conversations in the beginning.
How would we feel if we found out that he was told, okay, I need you to do all of these things, take care of the kids in the house and all the other little knickknacks while I go make this money. Meanwhile, I want you to put whatever you wanted to do in the background. And then she come home and say, man, I met somebody out here that does things a little different, that I like a little more. I'm going to go over here and be with this person. I know you sacrificed everything, but tough luck, buddy. You know what I mean? Go on about your business. How will we feel about him then? You know what I mean? Like, how will we feel?
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to commercial. And when we come back, I want to address Mark Kelly's question. I'm going to start with you, Noma, which is, what is a man's value in marriage? I think that's an important question that Joe brought up, so we can hit it. We will tackle that question when we come back. We're going to look at some stats. And so we're going to go to commercial. We're going to come back and we're going to keep this conversation going.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Okay. So, I'm going to ask this question before we go to stats. Where's Mark Kelly's question? What did he say? What is a husband's value in a relationship, in a marriage, Noma?
Well, his basic value is the same as hers. They just don't show up and do the same things, I don't like this idea that he has value and then we kind of say she doesn't have. They both have value. They just don't show up the same way. Whether you believe in God or not, I'm going to say it this way. God made us different. He literally made a man with a loud, booming voice. He's supposed to be threatening. And that tells us that he's a protector. His shoulders are broader. He's usually bigger. He's stronger. You can't argue that. Are there some big, burly women that can beat a man down? Absolutely. But those are called exceptions. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind that God made men to protect. right? And the same thing goes provision, whether you call it financial. We're now at an age where we look at provision through money, but provision can be any number of things. I've seen men build houses with their own hands for their wives and do other things and didn't necessarily have a quote unquote high paying salary, but he understood that when his family needs things, he is the one who is going to be resourceful and is going to make it happen for them. That's under provision. Okay. There's other things that he can do and that bring value to him that don't mean that it's tied to his paycheck. The same thing happens to a woman. It does not mean that she does not contribute to the wealth building. It just means that's not her primary responsibility. And I think sometimes because we're, living in this modern world, we kind of blur those lines and people get really confused. But there are women, yes, who will make more money than men. If you're talking about the Black community in America, that is more likely than not. But again, that's not her only value. And when you go on a date and you want to marry somebody, or you're thinking about getting married and you're meeting people, you shouldn't be leading with how much money you have, because then you are devaluing yourself and turning yourself into just a paycheck or a number. That's called, we women actually devalue ourselves. We talk about all our, nobody knows that I have, several bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and education, all of that, because I don't lead with that. I don't talk about that, because that's not where I place my value as a woman. It doesn't mean those things aren't valuable, they aren't important, they haven't added to who I am and so forth, but that's not who I am ultimately as a woman, as a wife, as a contributor to the family. That's just not, that's not the highest thing that I offer, and that's not what I lead with. You see the difference?
Yes. I want to ask this question of all the ladies, actually. Aisha, what is a man's value in marriage?
A man's value is to be the head of the household, right? That is, to me, as a believer, that is how I look at a man. He is the head of the household and he leads the family. And it doesn't have to be monetary.
Dr. Alicia's going to get you for saying that.
It doesn't have to be monetary. It's truly just about the role he plays as the head of the household. That is how I view the value of a man. It could be just because of the way he cares for the family, the children, the protection he provides, right? And the certainty he provides and the stability he provides. People think it's all about money only. No, it's just the presence. His presence alone brings stability and comfort in the home. So that to me is how I see the value of a man. It's not about a dollar sign. That is just a bonus that is added. But of course, as a believer, we also believe that it is the duty of the husband to provide for the family. He provides for them, no matter how small it is, but he brings a provision. He leads in that space with the provision. The wife may have a business and she's doing better than him, but he still brings the provision, the protection, the stability, and the confidence for the family. That is, to me, that is what I see as the value of a man.
All right, Shalay, I have the same question for you, and then I have a different question for you, Joe. Go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly with what Aisha just said. I believe that the true value of a man and a husband is to be a provider. And again, it's not necessarily all encompassing the income. It's about providing a space. It's about the confidence and providing a space where a vision can flourish, whether that's his vision or her vision, and providing support, providing safety, and providing that structure of confidence for the family. Because if a woman does not have that in her man or her husband, she's never going to trust him. So the provision piece, it means so many different things, but I feel like a man is supposed to provide a certain structure and confidence and safety in a household. And that means safety financially, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and emotionally, an emotional safety net for the woman so that she can continue to nurture the family. I do want to point out, though, that not taking away from what I just said, but a lot of times we get into these conversations about men and women, who's supposed to be the leader. And we miss the point that we're both equal human beings, men and women. So it boils down to your unique gifts that God gave you. In some families, it's going to be that woman who is the leader, the visionary leader of that family, but that man still has an important role to provide so that they can work together to bring that vision to fruition. And I think that concept is missing. And I feel that because women in our society, in America especially, sometimes make more than men are not taking their rightful place as providers because they're saying, oh, well, she makes more than me. Now it's a competition thing. That provision of the confidence and the security and the safety and the spiritual, mental, and emotional wellness of that household, I feel like that should start with the man, and then it spills over into everything else.
All right. So here's my question for you, Joe. What value does a woman bring to the marriage? Now, before you answer that, I'm going to throw you a little curveball. I want you to answer it for me two ways. A, traditionally, what is the value that a woman brings to a marriage based on what we just heard, right? The man is the provider, But if the woman is the breadwinner, does what she bring to the relationship, the value, does it change?
I'll answer the second part first. I don't believe that the finances have anything to do with anyone's value inside of a marriage. I don't believe that. I don't disagree with nothing or anything that anyone said about who should be a provider, it doesn't bother me to hear that. But as a woman, if your value to me is only what you can provide financially, or based on what you can provide financially, then we're in trouble. And as a man, if you are basing the same thing on me, what I provide financially, like Aisha said, even if it's a little bit, if you go out there and you're trying to do what you can to provide for your family, then whatever that might be or whatever you might be capable of has to be valued, that you go out and even try that. So I don't put any emphasis on that. But when I think about the value of a woman from the standpoint of being a married man, the one of the biggest things I would lean to is I want to know that I had value. So you provide value to me by helping me understand what my value is. How do I show up in this home? What do you need in order to feel like a woman or live in your femininity, and can I be of service to that? And that's what it is. I mean, I feel like most men grow up with most men grow up with the understanding that, they need you want to be needed. You know what I mean? Like if you're not needed in your home, you're probably going to have mental health issues. If you feel like you're not needed, you're probably going to have mental. So to answer your question, I feel like that's the main value that a woman provides to a man. It's like, I need to know that I'm worth something, that I have value. Can you do that for me when I can't do it for myself? I know walking around, we want people to be like, oh, I'm the alpha male and I do, but sometimes, even gangsters break down. So when I feel that way, can you provide that comfort to me to understand that, you are a king, you have value outside of this.
I like that. And I think that parlay, we're going to go to stats right now, but I think that parlays into, we don't know what happened. Because when I hear you talk from that perspective, and we think about how men are emotionally or lack thereof, or show or don't show, and you take a man's family, for whatever reason, we don't know why, where, when, how, we don't know who did what to who, we don't know. It's not traditionally in a man's nature to come and attack a woman or attack her finances or whatever the case might be. Unless it's just not a good man. Like, I think Mary J. Blige's husband just wasn't a good man going into it. I don't think it was love lost. I think he was not a good man. In this in particular situation, I think that they probably actually had love. Like, I think they actually had a loving relationship and something went awry. But it's what happens afterwards. Let's look at some of the stats that with relationships. Nearly 50% of marriages in the United States ends in flynubianmoney.com. In divorce. Okay. Nearly 50% of marriages in the United States end in divorce. Women initiate 70% of divorces in Black households or Black marriages, 80%, according to CDC studies. Black women are least likely to remarry after divorce. According to the U.S. Census, only 22% of divorced women receive full retirement benefits from their ex's pensions. And divorce can reduce a woman's household wealth by 41% compared to 23% for men. In California and other community property states, retirement accounts are considered marital property if contributed to during marriage, even if you keep working after the divorce. So, divorce is not easy. Divorce is taxing emotionally, but also financially. Conversations should be had prior. Prenups are not a bad thing. I think people think that when you're having a conversation about a prenuptial agreement, you're planning for the end. You're planning for it to fail. And I don't think that that's the case. I think you're planning to take care of somebody that you love. If this should not go the way that we hope it can go, if it should not go the way that we believing that it's going to go, I want to make sure that you're protected, right? And so if people looked at prenups from that perspective, instead of, I want to get as much as I can get, or I don't know why we're getting, I think they have immorality clauses. If somebody cheats, they don't get this, or if you have X amount of kids or babies, I think you can put all that stuff in there. I think that that's where it starts to get nitpicky, and you start to be like, we're supposed to love each other. Why are we doing all this? But you're doing it because you love each other. You're doing it to protect you, because when it goes bad, it goes bad. And they could have been amicably divorced for the last 4 years, and then you bring this up, and it's like you're picking the scab on a trauma, like you're reopening something that could have been healed, we could have moved forward, and now we're back here again. And so, like we said, we don't know what happened, but when we do our final thoughts and we go around the room, I think the question that I would ask each of you in your final thoughts is, how can we as a community, as a society, as regular everyday people, we're talking about millions of dollars, but regular everyday people are going through this too. Somebody works, somebody didn't work. Somebody has to sue. Somebody has to get child support. Somebody has to get alimony. Somebody has to have their mortgage paid for. So we're talking about it at the $1 million level and $7,000 a month. But somebody's had to pay somebody $100,000 and is paying, $5,000 a month with less money. So what advice would you give someone to protect themselves, to cover themselves, around this topic, and or just in relationship in general, Aisha, just in being prepared and loving should something not go the way that you want it to go? We'll start with you, Aisha.
Thank you for that question. First of all, we're people of great value. Women, men, we are. And money should not be what determines our love for each other or how we should treat each other. But with that being said, just preparing properly, right? I think when you hear about what they call the arranged marriages, there is a value to that. When you arrange a marriage, doesn't mean you just find someone and somebody say you have to marry this person. No, but there's involvement. There's families involved, uncles, aunties. They really help you see your blind side and advise you properly on what you need to do. But if you don't have that, like Dr. Lene was saying, maybe a prenup will work best, where it's not about how much I'm bringing in, but rather, I love you so much that if something happens, I want to protect that love so that we can part our ways with respect and dignity, and not fighting and causing this dissension and damage that is unnecessary. So I think that is the way I think people should, all of us should try to work through things that way. If you know someone getting married, help them out, see their blind side, give them advice prior to them going to marriages. And if you don't have that, a prenup will work just fine. And if you are looking for advice or need advice when it comes to your finances and you're not sure, I'm an expert in insurance, and this is actually some of the tools that can actually shield you and protect you from any kind of loss when you are going through a divorce. So I hope people don't get divorced. I know sometimes it happens, but if you ever have any questions, reach out to me. I'm in the Black Business School, and also my website is www.aishaverzi.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Shalay, what are your final thoughts?
So my final thoughts are definitely, have these conversations early. I feel like you need to have these conversations before you fall in love with someone. The first couple of dates, like seeing if your values align around these conversations. And especially if you have a business or you're an entrepreneur, make sure to get a prenuptial agreement and make sure you're separating your business and your personal assets in businesses. Put those businesses in LLCs, put those businesses in trust. If you have real estate, make sure if you have real estate that you've acquired before the marriage, make sure that those properties are protected and they're in a trust if you don't want them to come up as a cause of concern if you're going to move forward and there may be a divorce down the line. So I think that just treating it as and looking at it as more of a business structure, even though that may not be fun or sexy to talk about, but it's very important. And we can see in the society why it's very important. So if you guys have any questions about having that conversation and setting up real estate and trust and things like that, I'd love to help. I can help you buy or sell real estate or have these conversations in any states in the US and Canada. And if you'd like to reach out, you can follow me at Chalet Camillo on Instagram or at chalet.camillo on YouTube and look at our website, vitalsourcerealty.com.
Thank you, Chalet. Nomalinga, what are your final thoughts on this conversation and topic today?
Okay. So one of the things that I was thinking about is, one of the terms that we hear a lot is people talk about privilege. You'll hear about white privilege, or sometimes that somebody comes from a privileged family, and usually we're talking about the fact that they come from a very wealthy or rich or have a lot of money, and that's the privilege that we're talking about. But I often think also that there's this thing called family privilege, where you have had a good family structure modeled for you. You came from a two-parent home, both your parents came from two-parent homes, and so forth. So we typically reproduce going forward what we came from. And I would say that if you came from a background where it wasn't necessarily looking like what you want for yourself in the future, it's a good idea to be more mindful of the decisions that you're making and have a support system, whether you find that in your church community or you find it in another made-up community where they value family, they value marriage, generational success, wealth, all of those things, and have advisors. It's interesting that we'll have advisors for business, we'll have advisors when we're trying to make a legal decision, building portfolios, we find a financial advisor, but it seems like we jump into building a family without enough advice. So that's that would be the thing that I would emphasize the most, is that when you're making that life-changing decision, that long-term decision, have advisors who have a history and a background of success in that area. My name is Nomalanga Shauli Moses. You can find me on Facebook under that name. My handle on Instagram is Noma Moses, and I also have a YouTube channel under my name, Nomalanga Shauli Moses. That's where you can find me. I also am the founder of padsforourgirls.com. This is a charity that we started in Botswana that provides sanitary pads for underprivileged girls. If you would like to donate to that, you can go to padsforourgirls.com, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Noma. I saved our king for last. Some might say I saved the best for last, but I saved Joe for last. You were super insightful today, and having you on does add a lot of value to hear from a man's point of view and perspective. And sometimes you change my thinking, or you definitely make me think about it and look at it from a different perspective. So I want to just give you your roses today. What are your final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, that goes both ways. You know what I mean? I listened to a lot of things today, and I took it all in. And what I'm understanding about culture, not just, African culture, but culture, period, culture inside your home is so important. And being able to communicate that in the beginning of a relationship is very important. What kind of man do you want? What kind of man do you want to be? What kind of woman do you want? What kind of woman do you want to be? Knowing and understanding that, and then challenging certain beliefs about the things that you believe about yourself is part of growth. more than likely when you meet someone, you're not going to be the same person that you were 10 years after that situation, 20 years after that situation. But the core of who you are is who you are. So, just listen to somebody like Noma. If I felt a way about a woman being a breadwinner or a man, feeling like he's owed something, why would I go into a relationship, knowing and understanding this woman knows exactly what she wants and who she wants. So, those are the kind of conversations that need to be had up front. But if I do want to be a provider, if I do want to be, the man of men and all that other things, then this is a perfect situation for me. And we're not going to have any confusion on the back end about what it is when it's time to exit. So I'm just encouraging everybody, when you're about to engage into a marriage, a real partnership, do the work on the front end, have the conversations, and don't be afraid. Like, don't answer questions like you're afraid to lose somebody. Answer questions like, you want to be honest and safe inside of your relationship. So, I'm encouraging more than prenup. I'm encouraging pre-marital counseling. Have conversations in session with the third party that knows what they're doing and can get to the root of who you are and help each other understand each other's perspectives and where they come from, and find out, maybe you might find out something about yourself, which always happens in couples therapy, that people find out something about themselves that they didn't know, and challenging the beliefs that they have, that maybe I shouldn't be thinking or believing like this. So realuconsulting.com, y'all. Tap in, and even if you only do one session, I encourage you to do one session with your partner, and to gain understanding and perspective. I can take one argument that you all are having and help you understand more about each other through that one argument than y'all knew prior to whatever y'all was doing or talking about. So, and then join me on Tuesday nights. Next Tuesday, me and Felice are going to be having a conversation centered around some of the stuff we were talking about here today. Knowing and understand a nuanced conversation about what women and men are looking for or want inside, what they understand about each other. I need to understand, what do you understand about the value of a man? What have you grown up knowing and understanding about the value of a man the entire time you've grown up? And we're going to have those conversations, me and Felice. So join us next Tuesday night, y'all. And that's all I got to say. I love y'all. Thank you all.
I love it. I'm going to close really quickly, really simply, really easy today. And that is, based on this conversation, it's never too soon to have the tough talks, right? We basically all talked about it. A lot of this stuff is communicated at the front. Noma Lenga talked about how the families come together and help you work through it. We talked about advice. We talked about do what's right for your household, do what's right for your relationship. All of that stems from having these conversations early. Because when you don't have these conversations early, what happens is you start to fall for this person. You start to get emotionally attached. And when emotions start to take effect, logic, for whatever reason, goes out the door. And so if you have these conversations early, what is this person's values, who makes money, whatever the case might be, and you're getting on the same page, before you fall, you can logically deal with them. What happens is when you start falling, you start saying, well, that's okay. I'll deal with it later. It won't be an issue. It won't be a problem. Oh, we're going to be together forever. And then when it doesn't work out, you have these unresolved issues, insecurities, concepts, ideas, things that you've been pushing down that come back up when things don't work. And now you're two people who once loved each other and supported each other and had each other's back. Now you're doing this and you're not operating from a spirit of love. So have the hard conversations early, communicate, talk, try to do our best to operate with love and in love with everybody that we come into contact with, right? Man, woman, brother, sister, child, cousin, niece, nephew, stranger on the street. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. I am a monetization strategist and a brand your brilliance coach. I help Black businesses and entrepreneurs to build businesses that brand their brilliance so that they can make money. Today has been a great conversation, great dialogue. It was a powerful conversation. So whether you're single, married, divorced, or somewhere in between, today reminded us that your legacy matters. And this isn't just about pensions or payouts. It's about protecting your peace, your paper, and your power. So remember, marriage is a beautiful commitment, but it's also a legal contract. Plan with your heart, but protect yourself with your head. Thank you to our incredible panel, Noma, Joe, Shalay, and Aisha, and thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same mindset. Until then, keep mastering your money and owning your worth. Be blessed, stay Black, and be one. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday. Oh my God, I'm so happy it's Thursday. I'm so ready for the weekend. I'm having allergy attack like crazy. My eyes are running. It's I don't know. The pollen in Atlanta is crazy, crazy, crazy. As you know, you tune to the Madam President Morning Show. Let me start with my theme song. All right. I got to get it popping. I got to get it going. Don't forget that this is the Madam President Morning Show. We do this every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is also brought to you by FlyNubianMoney.com. FlyNubianMoney.com is where you go when you want to get your money up and you want to get your mind up. You should text Queens to 87948 if you have an interest in staying up to date in media and in money. All right. Let's just say that I saw a couple things online. I won't be before you long. I saw a couple things online that really stuck out to me. These two clips. I will start with, Damon Wayans, the Wayans family, which, is a pretty, one would look at the Wayans family and say, this is a very talented family. One would say that this is how you should, make things happen. Keenan Ivory Wayans, the one who is responsible for In Living Color. He understood some things about cinema, TV, and film and comedy, where he came up with In Living Color, came up with some movies, and he also hired his brothers. Now, what I find to be fascinating about the Wayans family is, as intelligent, as comedic, as whatever as they are, they make movies, they produce movies, but I don't think they ever got their own film studio, which is something that Tyler Perry has mastered. He has a whole in-house system. But the thing that I wanted to say is that they've had breaks in Hollywood. Like you'll see Damon Wayans working on something. You'll see Marlon Wayans working on something. And you'll see Keenan Ivory Wayans maybe taking his break. So I think about the Wayans family, and I find them to be uber wealthy, talented, etc. But I don't see them as the financial means as a Kardashian family. Why does the Kardashian family have more wealth than the Wayans family, when the Wayans family have more talent, have more writers, have more producers, have more actors? Why does the Kardashian family has more numerical wealth? Well, I have an answer for that. And you know my thing about supremacy, it don't let up. Supremacy don't stop. So the reason that you'll have the Kardashian family that may look as if they have more fame and more economic achievement than a family like the Wayans is all of the systems working to ensure that the Kardashians have the wealth. Anyways, I'm going to show you this clip that Damon Wayans was sitting on Club Shay Shay. He said some profound things, and we're going to break it down. But first, let me play the clip for you. I don't know where you are in the world. I'm here in ATL, born and raised in Chicago. If you can see this clip, I want you to put the way Damon Wayans in the chat. If you can see this clip, I'm about to pull it up. Put Damon Wayans in the chat.
All right, Joe. We got to less black people you see. Right? Money brings you into a new category. You move to a different house in a different neighborhood, and you get different friends, your money, people that come around you to help you make the money and maintain your money and make more money. The complexion changes. You know what I mean?
I like
that's what I love about like LeBron. You know, he got
Mab and he got Randy and he got Rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he kept that group around him.
Yeah.
But unless you have that group, because like you say, the higher you climb, the less you're going to see. And you're like, okay, well, they don't treat me that way. So it's gone.
And it's divide and conquer, you know, at a certain point, they sit you down, Beyonce's father. All right, we got it from here. The Jacksons. All right, Joe.
We got it.
We got it from here. You sit back and go, what? Venus and Serena, we got them. But and if you want them to be successful, you have to kind of let it happen, and then they hit new heights, but you become a liability. You know what I mean? As the parent, well, where were you those nights in the rain when we were hitting balls? Nah, wait.
Yeah.
So let me just break this down for you, because this man gave some gems and they was playing with this interview. And I like Shannon Sharp. I like him. I think he does a great job. That's number one. Number two, my thing is he's spitting gems. He says that it's divide and conquer. He says that when you start making money, the people that you came in with, they start to fade. Think about this. This is what integration did to us. Integration took your best black folk, moved them into a community outside of yours. This is one of the things, I can't remember exactly what writer it was, but in the 60s, this writer talked about how you would have all different economic groups living on one block because of segregation. So you will have a black doctor, a black garbage man, you'll have a black teacher, a black educator, you'll have a black welfare person all on one block. Children had aspiration. They saw it every single day. And then integration came. And that black doctor moved the hell off that block. That black doctor said, I ain't staying over here. We deserve better. And once they decided that they deserved better and they knew what better looked like for them, which is maybe nicer neighborhoods, it wasn't better treatment, nicer neighborhoods, you know, kids still getting harassed at school. I don't consider that better. But the point is, they went toward better. Once you have better, this is what Damon Wayans says. He says you get in, you start achieving, everything around you changes. Everything around you changes. You no longer have the same friends. You no longer have the same people that you came in with. He said, look at Beyonce. The daddy can get her so far, but then say, okay, we got it from here. He said, look at Serena. Okay, look at Serena and Venus. The daddy get them so far, and they said, okay, we got it from here. He said, look at the Jackson 5. They get them so far, and it says, okay, we got it from here. That y'all see how deep that is? You don't see how deep that is, that this man says that systemically, the system will take your child. Also, I hate to go back to the early 1900s on y'all, but I'm just going to call a spade a spade. In the early 1900s, during slavery, every time a Black person showcased any ability that was supreme or any ability that was superior, white folks took that Black person under their wing. This is since the early 1900s. If besides killing them, if they didn't kill them, they decided, oh, this person can bring me wealth. This person can bring me wealth. This woman can take care of my children. This woman, this man can oversee the sharecroppers, the slaves, etc., enslaved people. Only thing he's saying is it's changed now. We in a different century of the world, but they are still taking your children. They are still taking your children behind and after you have gotten them so far. I don't want to be deep, but I'm just telling you what he said. He says that we got it from here. Now, look at how they say that on the Black side, but he also gave LeBron James his props. He says, LeBron James, he said, that's why I love him so much, because I love what he has done. He took his friends with him. LeBron James did something that I don't even know how he had the ability to lead that way at such a young age. The man was 18, 19 years old with $100 million contract, everybody coming his way. His high school girlfriend had a brand new baby. You know, he's the biggest athlete in the world. And he managed to have the mind to say, well, if you want to get through me, you're going to have to go through Rich Paul. Well, I'm going to make him my manager anyway. You want me? You got to have him too. I'm going to make him my person such and such, Maverick. I'll have him to do this. If you want me, you got to have him too. What? How did he have the courage? How did he have the mind to say, no, I like the $100 million. I appreciate that, Nike, but this is my representation. This is my team. These are my brothers. They have to come too. Serena Williams' father did the same thing. Serena and Venus's father did the same thing. They only wanted Venus. He said, no. Well, you know, we come as a family. If you want one girl, you got to take the other one. She good too. And we come as a family. You can't have my daughter. That's how it goes. You can't have my daughter. No. When y'all gonna get some courage about your life? No. You can't have her. If you want her, then her daddy and her mama and her sister have to come too. That's how it goes. there was an article that was written, I remember this around 2009. It talked about, this was before NIL was a thing. This is before athletes were able to, you know, kind of monetize their own brand. The NCAA, you know, these Division I schools had these athletes who were playing basketball, but some of the parents couldn't even afford to attend the game. Some of the parents couldn't afford to attend the game. So the article was talking about how you have a coach making $6 million, how you have a university making, you know, millions of dollars throughout a school year playing sports, and all of this ecosystem that doesn't go back to the parent who couldn't afford a bus ticket to see her son play. Her son, in this article, you know, big time athlete at Duke or any other school, but she's somewhere in a rural area and can't afford her a bus ticket to see her son play. And not only that, nobody sent for her. I'll find the article and share it with you all. So the point is, you know, this system will always welcome your best child. Oh, this child is good. We're going to let him in. But you're not welcome with it sometimes. This is why I have a saying that I live by. The Black family is Black wealth. Put that in the chat right now. The Black family is Black wealth. The Black family is Black wealth. The Black family is Black wealth. The separatism, the individualism, it is what keeps us lacking wealth. I'll never forget, I'm looking at John Legend and his family talking about his parents. John Legend's parents was talking about how, you know, they were teaching their children to be exceptional, right? Oh, we got to keep them kids. They're going to do this. You know, this is why, you know, I'm a strong believer in two-parent households. But I told you, I don't come from a two-parent household. I come from 6 parents, my grandparents, my mama, my auntie, my uncle, everybody was raising me. So, you know, I know that we live in a time where there isn't, you know, traditional, there's, you know, people have their own traditions, and that's okay. There's a lot of shift and change that's happening. But the truth of the matter is the Black family is Black wealth, no matter what the setup is. Think about how we prosper when we are together. Think about it. Think about the time you and your family come together outside of grief, and all is well. Most times, if nobody's drinking, nobody's fighting, it's laughter, it's joy, it's conversation. Oh, mama, you did this. Oh, uncle, you remember. It's a good time. But this is one of the things that I know and realize to be a fact. When I was growing up, I remember my grandparents would get up early in the morning and go to work. My mother go somewhere, go to work, school, work. My auntie went to work. My uncle went to work. Why y'all not coming back home telling what you've learned on the job and how you all can build as a family? I love watching these shows on like Instagram, when I see these families working together, you know, whether they got T-shirts or whether they're selling products, the father is there, the mother is there, the cousin is there. They're all working together to build something. Do you know how many forces work together against you having your own? You know the game of Monopoly? You got bigger entities working so hard against you all coming together, and you refuse to come together. Anyways, I'm not going to stay on it too long, but this is what I know. The Black family is Black wealth. I'm not going to stop saying that because I'm going to break this down for you. In the 1800s, a Black man would be sold for, you know, $800, $900, $1,000. And in the 1800s, of course, you know, this was their time and their money. And then the Black woman would be sold $800, $700. This was that money during that time, right? And then the child. Black women, they're breeders. Breeders. This is why sometimes some men disconnected from their own body, disconnected from, their own children. Do you know what you have to think of yourself to procreate a child and don't have any kind of intention of raising it? You have got to think so little of yourself. You have got to just think that you are ash. You're nothing. You're nothing. If you believe that and you don't believe in your own procreation. So anyways, I'm not even going to go there. But I will say this right here. So if they would just sell us off because there's money attached to the man, the woman, and the child, we'll just separate them. She had the baby, take the baby. I'll give it to somebody. Sarah and them need a baby. Now they got the baby. They got the baby. They got the man. They got the woman. If you look at 2025, you can't pay us for togetherness. It's all in the podcast. It's all in the conversation. I don't need no man. They've been working on you since the 1800s in that matter. They've been working on you since the 1600s to not need. I don't need no woman. I don't need no woman. Oh, they've been pulling her away from you since the beginning of time. It don't matter. Oh, you get girl, you pregnant, you need to have an abortion. That's your life, your choice, your body. But they've been working on you since the 1600s from taking children from your womb. You ain't talking no new shit. That's my point. You ain't talking nothing new. Get out of my, you ain't talking nothing new. Baby, you 3 centuries in, you just now catching up to what that white man produced you to be. You just now catching up. You think you came up with this philosophy on your own. That's the crazy part. You think you came up with this by yourself. You didn't come up with this by yourself. You didn't hate Black women by yourself. You didn't start to hate Black men by yourself. 3 centuries of hard work to ensure that you did, to ensure that you don't love and respect the people who look just like you. That's hard work. These folks been doing this since the beginning of time. Anyways, I gotta move on. I was trying to stay cool, but it's just something about when we just start talking about, what it is and what it ain't that really gets me worked up. Anyway, I'm going to show you another one. This particular video went viral recently when the brother was talking about Black excellence. And I want to share this with you really fast because I'm going to get out of here. All right. Put Black excellence in the chat. Put Black power in the chat. I want you to see this video really quickly.
People as a whole. But the studies showed that
this is a good video.
to me after I reposted something from 19 Keys the other day saying Black excellence is the scam that replaced Black power. He said, what's wrong with Black excellence? I guess to some that might be a controversial statement because we've been so deeply indoctrinated into the idea of Black exceptionalism that we think one athlete, one actor, one president, one rapper represents meaningful progress for Black people as a whole. But the studies show that Black median wealth will reach 0 by the year 2053 if the current trends continue. Millions of us live in prison slave camps making lids for Starbucks cups for like 50 cents a day. The hood is as fucked up as it's ever been. But we got more millionaires than ever before. That shit is a scam. I think that's also the reason why we don't unify or strike and weaponize our labor in any of the industries that we dominate. The NBA, the NFL, the music industry, because so rarely is one of us more than one step removed from poverty, so nobody's willing to risk it. We know we're being exploited by streaming. We make up all the labor and none of the ownership of the sports teams. Shit, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not saying we shouldn't strive for excellence as a people or as individuals, but we cannot make the mistake of confusing one of us getting out the hood with the progress of the group. We also have to look at the success of individuals that's achieved to the detriment of the masses. We be celebrating shit just because a nigga got some money. It don't matter who the fuck had to die. Like if niggas run around making a bag off the prison industrial complex, are we cheering that shit on? My homie reached out to me after I reposted.
This was really good. This is a conversation that I don't believe that people are having much or frequently. The idea that Black excellence is associated with white acceptance, white approval, white achievement. Yes, Black excellent. So you'll tell a person who you consider to be extremely achieved. He's like, oh, this is Black excellence right here. This person is educated from typically, an institution that has awarded him or her degrees. So this person is Black excellent. A person who wins an Olympic gold medal, all that is Black excellence because they were chosen and they were successful. But we never say that to the people who served 20 years in prison, wrongfully incarcerated. They come out, lost majority of their life. We never look at them and say, this is Black excellence. I ask you today, are you Black excellence? No, I'm genuinely asking you this because I know for a fact that so many of us would not consider themselves Black excellence because they have not achieved anything that is approved by white acceptance. Like, if you don't have a job, why are you not Black excellence? Because you don't work for Netflix. You don't work for, ABC. Will you consider yourself Black excellence? If you work for Netflix, you will say, oh, I'm accomplished, I'm achieved, I'm so many things. So I'm asking you, why do we put this weight of excellence on our communities, on our people? Now hear this out. Black excellence, he's saying that the continuous of associating Black excellence to individualism is also problematic. I've never, when the Jewish community created the NBA, were they going around talking about, Jew excellence right here, They got a whole system. They employ millions of people globally. When the Asian shop opens up nail salons in the hood, do they cheers and say Asian excellence? No, I'm genuinely asking. They are, the standard of achievement is not a problem. Have we put Black excellence in place as a way of saying that, hey, you've won. You've won. But they just showed you, Damon Wayans just showed you that no matter how high you get, your daddy ain't gonna go with you because it's one that's coming, not all of us. I'll never forget, I was working a job, and this is one of the reasons I created this course, Navigating Stress, Workplace Stress. I was starting a job and we was all working really hard, and I just knew that I was going to be in one of those groups of, promotion. And I was not one of the people that was chosen for promotion. I was devastated. My entire being and existence, and I really despise how I spent those years, overplaying, overconsuming, overbelieving certain things as it related to success. Like, why did I think that was the only route, the best route? You start, as you mature, you get older about pivoting and all these different things. But I'm just genuinely interested in you believing that you are Black excellent, even if you do not have white achievement. If white people never come and tell you you're good, will you believe that you're good? This is important because a lot of you all are parents. So that means that your thinking is important because you have other people that is relying on your thought process. So if you are a mother, a father, a parent, if you're raising children, how you think, your ideas, your perception, your reality is important. This is why you got 2 kids, one doing well, the other one ain't, and you feel like the one that you ain't doing well ain't gonna do X, Y, and Z. The patience is thin with the person that ain't doing good. And I know that I'm using ain't instead of isn't, but the reality is, assimilating into this big old world, we pretend as if it's easy. Who said it was easy? You get up every day. You dealing with yourself every day. You know it's not always easy. It's not easy for men. It's not easy for women. It's not easy for children. It's not easy for anyone. But of course, because God is so wonderful, we have gratitude. We have grace. And if we're lucky, we have peace about things that's going on in our life, about what's happening in the world. No matter what. So my point is, Black excellence cannot always be aligned with white approval. I'm going to make this a couple more points and then I'm going to let it go. But there was 2 gold medalists, Gabby Douglas. Yes, Gabby Douglas, in order to get her to become as popular, trained, well-trained for the Olympics, the first thing they did was take her away from her mother. I say this respectfully. Gabby Douglas was living with her mama, I think, in I can't remember what town, if it was Indiana or Iowa or whatever it was. And they began to train her for the Olympics. And she had to get away from her mama, go to a better institution, go to a better facility, all of that, so she can train to be a gold medalist. We're going to get you. No matter what, we're going to get you. And like he said, Damian Wayne said, in order for you to achieve, sometimes you got to let them go so they could get access to more. So then the same thing happened with, who's the girl that's the GOAT? The one that has won every Olympic right now. I can't think of her name. All I see is her face. But same thing with her. She was living with her mother, I believe, was a drug addict or struggled with drug abuse. And she was adopted by her. Simone, thank you. Simone Biles. Yes, Simone Biles. Her parents, her mother was struggling with drugs. She was adopted by her grandparents, constantly taking the child away from the family for achievement. This is why I want you to know that you're Black excellence, so that people don't feel like that they have to remove you so that your child can accomplish, your child can achieve. You have the tools too. I'm coming with. That's how it goes. I'm coming with. I'm going to tell you, I got a friend. His family is so beautiful. You all don't know him because they ain't rich and they're not celebrities. But my friend, he said to me, he went to film school. After he went to film school, he decided to move to Atlanta. His mama and daddy and sister and brother all came behind him. That's how it goes. His mama now said, well, if you got to go to Georgia, what else is more important than being together? They all moved to Georgia. And I love that because I keep telling you the Black family is Black wealth. Anyways, I want you all to know that you're excellent. You're excellent. You are excellent. And I just want you to know, too, that they will always use, like a person who's in acting school right now, they won't allow him or her to be considered excellent until they get an Oscar. But you got to remember, Viola Davis was always excellent. She was always good. She was always superb. They found that out once they said, oh shit. Oh man, I saw her tape. It's undeniable. Yeah, you damn right. It's undeniable. Did you ever think that you were the only one that could act? Let me tell you something. It ain't been nothing that they have created that we have not been superb in, and we just got started. Remember, we were the ones that was in chains, coming off boats, didn't even speak the language. Now we speech pathologists. Now we do it all. You can't, Black folks, let me just tell you, incomparable. Nothing compares to us. You know, nothing compares. All right, I'm Madam President with a Z. I do this weekly, Monday through Friday. Also, please feel free to visit madampresident.com. Stay connected with me, madampresident.com. It's always with a Z. I went over time per usual. I will definitely see you all tomorrow. You should follow me on all social media platforms, One Madam President. All right, have a good day. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is Friday, and it is all about love. I think one of the singers said, to be loved. Oh, what a feeling to be loved. I am so excited to have one of my favorite people on today, the Dr. Alicia. I'm going to bring her on shortly. You already know what we do when we do this here on the Madam President Morning Show. You know what we do. We have got to start the show with our theme music. That song gets me excited every time I hear it. You guys know that. You know that we do this Monday through Friday, 9:30 Eastern, every chance we get. Now, do not forget, this is the FlyNubianMoney.com network. This is a place where Black women have big voices, okay? If you want to get your money up, go to FlyNubianMoney.com. If you want to get your mind up, text Queens to 87948. If you want to keep up with Madam President, text Madam to 87948. Also, here is what I would like to say. I almost forgot. Before I go any further, let me do our prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this Friday. We appreciate you. We value you. We just ask for your continuous grace and your mercy and your peace. Allow us to show up how you see us to show up the right way every day. In your name we pray. Amen. So now that I got that out the way, I would like to bring on the Dr. Alicia Watkins. Woo!
Play that intro song again. What? I feel like I was grooving to it. How you doing? Yeah. Come on.
My God, Dr. Alicia, do you know, I just think Black people are just talented, because this woman did that song, picking up her friend, pulling up in the car. She just she did all types of, vocals that you just this is just your talent, just pure talent.
Let me tell you, Black people, my favorite people.
So glad to have you.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. I'm so glad to have you this morning. I really do appreciate you so very, very much. I have a banner for you too. My dog
look at that.
Yeah, coaching with Dr. Alicia. Well, I don't want to hold you long. This segment is strictly about the psychology of love, healing, heartbreak, and the science of healthy relationship. I just know that when I think about love, when I think about the mind, you being a doctor, a psychiatrist, psychologist, you know more about these things than just a person who talks about it from a place of feelings, So I was just like, well, I'm gonna get a smart woman up in here to talk about the science of it all. So let me just ask you this. What is the psychology or the scientific background of the feeling of love?
Let me tell you. Okay, so we got to put it in a song.
Okay.
You know that song by Lauryn Hill where she says, it could all be so simple, but you'd rather make it hard.
Yes.
Come on. That song won a Grammy for a reason. It seems like it should be simple, but the psychology of love is super complex. It is not as everything that it seems to be on the surface is one thing, but there's a whole lot of feelings, emotions, past traumas, past triggers, past heartbreaks. All of these things are going on in the background, and how aware you are of how these things affect your life, how it affects how you love, how you find somebody that you love. That's part of the problem. The barriers. And then once you find somebody that you just could stomach sitting down and having a dinner with, having a meal with, then that's when the real work begins. And so people just need to be realistic about the intricacies of finding love, healthy love, in a way that is healthy, in the way that it's supposed to be, to share someone with, and be able to keep it where you don't have all these toxic elements coming in. To do that takes transparency. It takes being vulnerable. Oh my God, that's scary. It takes all of these things that many of us are not equipped dealing with it, but there is a science to being healthy that cuts across race, cuts across culture. I was just talking to a client this morning. I could be walking around in India and I can look at a couple. I don't know what they're saying. They're speaking their language. I don't know what they're saying, but I could be able to look at them and tell whether that relationship seems healthy or whether she don't really like him. He got problems with her. We can see by body language, by how people interact with each other, whether things are going on the way it should be. So it could all be so simple, but it's not.
Oh my God, you're singing the real song too. And I also was just thinking about, sometimes we talk about how sometimes Black girls grow up in our community with missing fathers. When we have, and I was doing some research on this myself, but when we don't have a relationship with our father, what does that do to our relationship with men in general? Like the trust element, the interaction, because I believe that's one of the challenges that people are facing as we go into this era of the 50-50 podcast conversation that's always circulating online. The question really is, have we not even just witnessed healthy love, but when there are components of your identity that is completely missing, you don't have interaction. If my father was killed and I was 10, I grew up, there were men around, but do I miss that interaction where, I want to know the impact that it holds on women as they grow?
Okay, well, first thing I want to say is that your past does not dictate how your life operates currently.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
So
Okay.
I am not getting into, if you want to talk about these movements, I'm not getting into these red pill movements that is nothing but hatred toward the genders. They promote divisiveness between genders. And oftentimes these individuals are so steeped in grappling with rejection and hurt themselves that they give these oversimplified answers that reinforce biases rather than promoting healing.
Ooh.
I want to get away from these conversations and these narratives that because you didn't have a father in the home, that you're no good and you need to be pushed to the side and that you need to be chewed away. When science tells us that how you are to react in a relationship currently depends on the quality of the relationship you have with your mother in teenage years. Look it up.
Woo! Come on, I got you dropping bombs.
Look it up.
Yo, Dr.
Because I'm cute. I didn't show up and say in my cute little outfit and say, give me a license, give me a PhD. No,
I think you're right, because I believe that I think that makes a lot of sense too, because we spend a lot of time with our mothers no matter what. So we spend a lot of times with our mothers and we are forced to reckon, we're forced to manage, we're forced to deal, we're forced to communicate, we're forced to, go through a lot of different channels as women with the mothers. And that's just the reality is not every woman has a healthy relationship with their mother. So it's like, I think sometimes some of the components, I love that you said and mentioned that your past does not dictate your current life, because sometimes I really feel like you said, Black women in general, and like you said, this cuts across any race, no matter what your race is. Having an absent father does not give, the world permission to be harsh or to invalidate, who you are and what you bring to this existence. So I agree with you.
That's a loving household.
Correct.
No matter what the family structure.
I love that, because I feel like I grew up in a very loving household with a lot of compassion and sensitivity. I tell people today that my grandmother was very sensitive. You can't say anything you want to her. And I think she passed that sensitivity to everybody. You should see us on a Thanksgiving Day. Everybody, you can't say nothing to nobody without somebody feeling like you hurt their feelings. So I always think about that.
But I'm gonna tell you, I come across men who say, I did not have a father in the home. And because of that, I want to come to you, Dr. Alicia, because I want to make sure that my family is healthy. I don't want to be absent. I want to make sure that I'm there for my family because I experienced it. I understand what that feels like. I understand the pain and hurt from that. And I want to make sure I do it right. And that I give an applaud to, because that is the type of attitude that you need to have. Because the gold standard is to have two parents in the home, okay? Is to have a loving family and a loving relationship. Because from 0 to 18, you want to keep your ACEs score, adverse childhood experiences, as low as possible. But there are people who believe they grab only onto one concept of family structure, and they think that everybody else that don't follow some prescriptive family structure is garbage.
Yes, you're right about that. That's not true. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
People always say, how does childhood trauma show up in our romantic relationships? And what are the first steps to breaking toxic patterns?
Okay, well, first of all, if you grew up traumatized as a child, your outlook on the world is that I live in a world that's dangerous. So when you start to feel like you live in a dangerous world, you need to start looking at some of scary instances that happened to you that made you form these perspectives. So if you feel like the world is not to be trusted, if you feel like there's nothing but betrayal and that everybody is out to get you because you never really had a calm, peaceful, wonderful childhood like this, where you've been able to see the world in its totality, but if not, it's distorted.
It gives you cognitive distortions. And if you haven't had a chance to process it, because let's just face it, there's no such thing as a perfect childhood. You need to have a space to process all of these imperfections that happen to you. And when you can process it, that's when you can start seeing the world in its whole totality and be able to learn how to trust, because you have to be vulnerable. You can't get into a relationship with somebody if you're not willing to be vulnerable. How's that person supposed to know you? How are you supposed to get to know yourself? How are you supposed to get know another person when you have all of these trust issues because you have this belief that the world is dangerous?
Wow. Wow. And you know, speaking of this, first of all, let's give you some more hand claps because you're preaching. Dr. Alicia, a round of applause.
Dancing.
Yes, I really agree with you so just greatly because, you know, if you do grow up in an unsafe environment, you do feel like the world is a bad place and you always got to look over your shoulders. And if you have that personality and you are bringing that into your relationships, whether you know it or not, you're bringing that into the interaction. You're bringing that if you don't feel like you can trust anyone, then you probably aren't easily being vulnerable. You're probably withholding. And that's a good point, that in order for a person to get to know you, there has to be some level of vulnerability there. I got another question for you. In the age of social media and instant gratification, what's the best way to build a truly deep and lasting connection?
Truly deep and lasting connection in the age of social media, you have to be deliberate. You have to really be deliberate in your interactions with people because social media is supposed to like make us have more free time because we're able to do things a lot faster. We're able to report things faster, but that's not what's happening, right? So you need to be more deliberate in your interactions with people, the amount of time that you have to really socialize and connect with individuals on a personal level. You got to be able to do that. And you have to be able to put the phones down. You have to be able to look somebody in the face, and you have to be able to have an interaction with that person. In, having the back and forth that's necessary in there to feel good about yourself and to connect with other people. So now is the time where we have to set up some boundaries, digital boundaries, and negotiate those things and get that going. And it's possible to have these conversations. And we all need to have human touch and physical touch, and we need these things. So it's becoming more deliberate in our conversations and in our interactions with each other.
Oh, I love that so much. We have to be deliberate on that. Yeah. You can't go around that. You can't fake the funk on that. Let me ask you, this is a really good question. I only have a couple more for you because I want to make sure that I know you got quite a busy day, but what is the biggest misconception women have about love that keeps them in a cycle of disappointment?
Cycle of disappointment. Well, you know what? A lot of women are in denial about the men that they're dating. I confront a lot of women, and I say, well, if he's shown you who he is and he's not taking accountability for it, things are happening that you know deep down inside that goes against you, and you feel the need to silence yourself. Why are you suppressing that? You know something's not right. You need to face things. A lot of women feel like their job is to keep everybody together, to keep everybody silent while toxic behaviors are happening, not calling it out, not addressing the real issues, but want to keep this kind of outside. Talk about social media. Everybody's interested in having this social media love affair, like they're putting everything is all perfect out there, but no. And I'm real. I keep it real. I will disagree with my husband online. And you have to do it in a way that's respectful, of course, but I'm not going to silence myself. I'm not going to become something that I'm not. It's going to be healthy dialogue as much as possible and repair as much as possible. But I think the issue is not to be in denial, not to have these defenses come up that gets in the way with how you really feel about what's going on. So a lot of women need to step out of denial and start accepting the way things are, because that's the first step in changing things. is to accept it and make things healthier. There's a science to healthy relationships, and it can happen.
I love that. I believe you too. I think that you're speaking a lot of truth to power, for sure. One of the things that I personally felt that women have a little bit misconstrued romantically is a fairy tale. You know, it's kind of like this person. I'll speak for myself. I remember feeling like a person didn't love me if they weren't, you know, overly affectionate, or if they wasn't verbalizing that they love me. You know, those things mattered to me. But I had to learn, like, this is called reassurance. Why do you require so much reassurance? You know, okay, well, that is you're moving from an abandonment space. That's everybody is not thinking that. Some people are not giving you verbal reassurance if that's not understanding that they know that you require. That's number one. And number two, people love you and they don't always make you feel loved. And I'm not speaking from abuse, but I think that you, as a married woman with, you know, children, you love everybody in the house, but there's some days you are not, telling folks, hey, pick that up out of love. You know, people can easily misconstrue how you may feel in moments, you know, or throughout the day when you're not really giving them that much attention, because, you know, Dr. Alicia could be giving her clients attention. So it's like, you know, knowing what you require as a grown woman is important. You can't put that off on many other people.
Right.
That's just something that I would like to add to, you know, your sermon.
Yes, you know what? Abandonment is a childhood issue that you need to come to terms with. And as a result, you need to start parenting yourself through abandonment issues, because as an adult, no one can really abandon you as an adult. Okay? They can leave you. They can choose to do something different, but abandonment doesn't happen in adulthood. It happens in childhood, because these are boundaries for a relationship. You can't look for your partner to give you that level of validation. You need to come into the relationship filling yourself up. So when I do on Sunday nights, sometimes I'll do Healing Haven Book Club, and we're talking about that inner fountain. You got to keep that fountain going on inner side. And if you tune in, we talk all about how to deal with your own abandonment issues by loving yourself and parenting yourself and giving yourself the attention that you never got, the validation you can give yourself, so that you can have your internal fountain going on, because you can't look for a partner to fill up this fountain from within, because you're putting too much on that other person.
Correct.
There.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to ask you this one final question, Dr. Alicia. If you can give every woman one psychological truth about love that would change her life forever, what would it be?
You know what I would say? Self-care is self-love.
Okay.
I think getting into self-love is so important. What happens with a lot of Black women in particular? You alluded to this before, and you were spot on. That was the other part of your question that you asked me before, was as Black women, we carry the emotional load of everybody in the household. We are the center of everything, as it should be, because I think it's okay, because I have been to households where there have been Greek household culturally. I've been to Italian. One of my really good friends was Italian. And you go to her house and those women were running those houses. You know what I mean? So why is it derogatory when Black women do it, but not derogatory when you have Greek culture, Italian culture, dare I say Hispanic culture? Hispanic women are running them households and everybody falls in line, right? So some of these things are cultural, but at the same time, carrying on as culturally as it is, it's not negative. It is positive, because we need to have the nurturing there. But Black women really need to know about
self-love. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It could be a bath. It could be just spending time with yourself, giving back to yourself, filling yourself up, that fountain from within, so you're not depleted. And then, yeah, I know I can get tired. That's a signal to me when I'm tired, when I get annoyed with all the mess in the house. And I'm like, you know what? This is a signal that I'm tired and I'm not having a good day. I need to go take a bath and go to bed and worry about it in the morning. And guess what? In the morning, it's not so bad. So you have to have a way of a self-care plan and stick to that plan, because you got to put yourself first. Black women, let's put ourselves first, because we're socialized into putting everybody else first. And sometimes it goes without the level of appreciation and gratitude that we deserve.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Alicia, I would like to say that I just love you. I love who you are. I love what you represent. And I appreciate you so much for being here today. This wouldn't have happened without you. People know exactly where to find you. Dr. Alicia online is Coaching with Dr. Alicia on all social media platforms.
Follow me on Instagram, please. And come to the Black Love Weekend. We talk about this and then some this weekend. And you can get the recordings if you're busy. And you're trying to find somebody. Come to the Black Love Weekend. It's this weekend.
Okay, absolutely. Make sure you all hit the Black Love Weekend this weekend. Log on with Coaching with Dr. Alicia on Instagram. Connect with her. Follow her. And remember, only love is light. Keep that in mind. Love is light. Love produces so many beautiful things. So when we lead with love, when we act out of love, there are so many good things that comes behind it. When we act out all of the other things, the insecurities, the uncertainty, the anger, that's when we are doing opposite of love. So remember, if you can be love, you can get love. All right, guys, I'm Madam President. You all have a good weekend. We out.